Welcome back. In the last step, we added behavior to our book class as well as the motorbike class. We created a couple of methods: increase copies, increase speed, decrease speed, and we looked at how they are useful in changing the state of an object. In this step, let's get back to the puzzles related to behavior or to the methods that we create on a class. Let's get back to our favorite planet class, and this time let's create a method. So def revolve. I'm just saying revolve is a method that I'm defining in here, and over here let's create an empty method. Let's create earth is equal to planet. So we have defined a method on the planet class. Can I do earth.revolve? What do you think will happen? Aha, error. It says we are giving one parameter, but revolve is taking 0 parameters. How is this happening? Where are we giving 1 parameters in here? That's where self comes into picture. Whenever we call a method on an instance of a class, whenever you call a method on the object, what happens? 1 parameter automatically gets passed. That's self. We saw that when we were invoking the constructor. The same is the case with all the methods inside a class. By default, 1 parameter gets passed. So on all your instance methods, you need to create a parameter called self. And only then you'd be able to call methods on it. So self is very, very important to be able to create an instance method inside a class. Now let's get back to our favorite PyCharm editor and try the next puzzle. I'll say right click new Python file and I'll call this planet.py. And what I would want to do is, let's say planet. I would want to create an instance of the planet class. Earth is equal to planet. What would happen? There is no planet class yet, right? If I go and hover over here, there's a red bulb which comes up. I can say create class planet. IDE does the magic for us. What we want to do now is create another method inside this class. So I'll remove the pass. I'll create a method very quickly. Def, let's call it rotate. Obviously, we need to pass self as the parameter. That's what we learned in the first puzzle. And now I can say the logic. So let's just say rotate. So if I call the rotate method, it prints rotate. Let's create another one. Let's call this revolve and revolve. Now we would want to have another method in here which does rotate and revolve. And instead of repeating the logic in here, what I want to do is call rotate, and I would want to be able to say revolve. I would want to call the other methods which are present in here. And over here, I can say earth dot rotate and revolve to call that specific method, right? You are already seeing red underlines which says we are doing something wrong, but let's check what we are doing wrong. So right click run planet. Aha, it says name rotate is not defined. If I click this, it takes me to this line, and rotate here is not defined, but we have the rotate method in here. So how can I call a method which is defined on the same object? How can I call a method defined in the same class? The way we can do that is by using the keyword self. Self.rotate, self.revolve. And now if you run the program, you'd see that it prints rotate and revolve. The important lesson from this is the fact that you need to have self to call methods on the same class. So if there's a method in this class and I would want to call it from another method in the same class, I need to do self dot that specific method, self dot method. The two things that we discussed in this specific video are, number one, we definitely need to have self as a parameter or an instance method. So if you have an instance method belonging to a specific class, you definitely need to have a self parameter if you'd want to call the method on an object of that specific class. The second thing we learned is how to call other methods defined in the same class. The way we would do that is by doing self dot, self dot. I'll see you in the next step. Until then, bye-bye.